Peace to the family. Peace to the family. What's going on to everybody out there Sunday night? Got a Sunday treat for y'all. Y'all see who I got in the building. These are one of our scientists, you know, one of the people that we consult when we need to know what's going on. Somebody said what happened to Red and Blue Pill channel. It got taken down. YouTube took Red and Blue Pill's channel down. Their channel, Know the Legend Media, is no more. So I don't know if they're going to create another channel or if they're going to build another platform. But whenever the brothers decide to build another platform, I'll be sure to have them on here to introduce their new platform to the family, or whatever they want to, however they want to do it. So y'all could stay in touch with whatever those brothers got coming up. But shout out to Red and Blue. Hold your head, all right? Yeah, this YouTube thing is real, y'all. They y'all know how censorship goes. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm careful. And by the way, Akhu, don't even talk about that thing going on over there, the war. Don't even bring that up. Don't even bring that up because they tripping about that too. Yeah, don't even. Yeah, but how it works with YouTube, it's like a strike system. So they got
that is a terrible thing.
Yeah. All right, let's get started. Before we do, get comfortable. Hit the like button. We got about 500 people already. Tell your friends and family. Listen, this brother right here is the truth. One of the baddest brothers out there doing this thing here. Yo, family, I got real quick before I go to commercial. I got so hyped last show. I was on here with Dr. B Serious. I was so hyped, Raku. I threw my blue light glasses down. I broke them. I was talking, right? And I got hyped, and I was like, and I threw them down. Broke my. I know if y'all seen it
anyway.
Yeah, if y'all seen it, y'all remember when I got real hyped. But yeah, I gotta get a new pair. They like $50, yo. I get them from Best Buy, and I got one from KT, and I don't know where that one's at. Somewhere in my basement, but I'm gonna look for it. But I gotta get another pair. But these are blue lights. They help me with the computer family. All right, ran my mouth enough. Once again, shout out Red and Blue Pill. I'll give you updates as they come with those brothers. Let's get to commercial. We'll be right back with our special guest tonight.
Started out with nothing. Now I got a whole lot of something. Breaking through the roof. Willy Wonka when he pressed the button. When I do a money ritual, all of a sudden money started coming. Then I caught the Holy Ghost. I still be rhyming even when I'm mumbling. You repeat my name 3 times while you staring in the mirror. Bottle will appear like poof. I came from out of thin air. To me the gun is like a magic wand. I make a problem disappear. I would knock a nigga teeth out his mouth. Just to turn up to veneer. I can do magic. 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 When I open up my mouth, I can move masses. Black magic on the beat, turn it to a classic. I'ma take the money out the bank, then I'ma put it in a mattress. So many niggas got.
All right, somebody said, play my theme song. What Deion Sanders say, y'all? Play my theme music. That's my theme music. Hey, without further ado, let's welcome back our brother, the living legend, Akhu. Welcome back, Akhu. Welcome back, my brother.
Peace, God.
Hey, it's good to have you back on here, brother. Sunday night. Everybody's taking it easy. A lot of people taking it easy, getting ready for work tomorrow, whatever they do. Weekends winding down. A lot of things going on, brother. That eclipse just happened. And a lot of people on YouTube, astrologers, are talking about the eclipse that just happened. There's another one coming up. I didn't get a chance to talk to you about it. I seen you had did something on Red Pill's channel about the Ring of Fire. I didn't get a chance to see it yet. And I know you've been doing stuff on Instagram, so I got to check out your Instagram too. But just taking all that into consideration, you told me you're gonna make some prophecies tonight. I was like, oh shit, I'm excited. So with that being said, my brother, I'm gonna let you do your thing. I'm gonna come back into it, and we got about an hour tonight, y'all. Hour and 15 minutes tonight. So yeah. So enjoy it. Shout out to Kimberly for the early donation. Kimberly, let's do magic. Yeah. Shout out to Kimberly with the early donation. But Raku, my brother, welcome back. I'm gonna let you do your thing, brother. What's going on, my brother? What is going on?
You know, I've been tracking eclipses for some time. You know, I took a special interest in them when I was a religious head. When I was a Muslim and studying Islamic history, you know, the Arabs favor eclipses. So as I was studying that culture to an extent, I was also studying eclipses, you know. And I broke off for a long time studying eclipses because I got more interested in predictive astrology with regards to day-to-day life for people, right? Eclipses are excellent for people, but they're also excellent for society, for the world and global events. Okay. Now, you told me to omit an event. I'm going to put it in code.
Yes.
Okay. Now, this eclipse took place at the 21st degree of Libra, all right? And calendrically, that corresponded to October the 14th, just passed, right? There's going to be another eclipse 14 days following, which will manifest on the 28th of October, all right? But what I came to talk about tonight was I wanted to show and prove how, again, right, how we can use specific rules of prediction in astrology on eclipse charts, just like we apply these rules to a birth chart, to a natal chart. All right. We treat the eclipse chart as a birth chart.
Like a birth chart? Oh, damn, brother.
Yeah, we use the same rules to read its effects.
Yeah.
Globally or mundanely I can't say we, okay, we cosmophysicians, because there's some astrologers out there that don't believe that you should mix those two sciences, the science of genesiological astrology and the science of mundane astrology. My thing is, manifestation doesn't discern between people and events. The planets are using the same set of planets, so the same rules apply. So what I set out to do was, I said, I'm going to use this eclipse. I'm going to carry it for a few months.
Right.
Because eclipses last anywhere from 4 months to 5.5 years. No, not 5.5, maybe 4 years. Okay. And they run constantly. Well, I know that themes wear out, right? Yeah. But I can show and prove how, in hindsight, how it has been unraveling, and give you a demonstration of how astrologers do just that. We look at the format in hindsight, and if it corresponds to the timelines and events, we know that it's going to continue to move forward accurately. I've already verified this with 4 motions. The next motion is scheduled to occur on the 23rd. Let me describe the 4 motions that have already come to pass.
Please do.
People understand the nature of the practice and actually what's going on. Okay. And I want y'all to follow me here. There are people here that are live. I get it. All right. And I'm not going to be able to stop and go back over what I discussed because we only have an hour. All right. I gotta make you gotta follow me here. And if not, download the video. You can download these videos on YouTube. All right. All right. And then you can stop and pause it and watch it in detail and you know, under a process. Because if you understand this process from what I demonstrate, you'll be able to do this yourself. Okay. Now, we're counting in numerical order, and then we're starting with the number 21 as opposed to the number 1, as opposed to the date, October 14th. You have to understand here that we're using 1 degree equals 1 day. That rule, 1 degree of planetary motion or measure equates to 1 day of true lifetime.
Right. Right.
So with that in mind, with that rule in mind, contemplate that, conceptualize that. The eclipse takes place at 21 degrees. And you have a chronological order for every planet thereafter 21 degrees. For example, Uranus falls in the 22nd degree in the sign of Taurus. The nodes fall in the 24th degree in the signs of Leo and Aries. Neptune falls in the 25th degree of this chart, okay? And Pluto falls in the 27th degree. Saturn is at 0 degrees, the 0 degree before we get to 1 whole degree, right? And Mars falls in the 1st degree. Venus fell in the 5th degree. Jupiter was in the 13th degree. Mercury in the 17th. And running through that number line, it only extends from 0 to 30. All right. So since we're starting at 21, we're going from 21 to 0 to 20. Wrap your mind around that. Okay. Because after the sun and the moon conjunct, we have the planet Uranus in the very next degree to be aspected by the transiting sun, by the natural motion of our sun in the zodiac. And I made a prediction based on this on the live that I did on Instagram and it's on my pay-per-view lives there, right? And I discussed how because I was also using midpoints and that there was only 1 degree, that a half a degree is 12 hours. If 1 degree equals 24 hours, a half a degree is 12 hours. And at the time that I gave the reading, I said, at the time I made the prediction, I said that within 12 hours of the eclipse, we should see the indication of Uranus, the planet Uranus, and its station at 22 degrees in Taurus. Well, it wasn't even a whole 12 hours later. It was about 8 hours later, okay? At 8 hours after I said it, was about 4 hours after the eclipse. So it was about 12 hours after the eclipse happened. There was an earthquake in Turkey. Now, Uranus is the planet that we use to decipher types of instability, all different types, okay? Things that are brittle, breaking apart, falling apart, being ripped apart, torn apart, all of that destructive type of phenomena in with that type of description, shaking, jarring, it belongs to Uranus. This is the nature of an earthquake. Taurus is the first earth sign, and it's a fixed sign. So it represents earth in its solid form. So there's a great instability in the earth, is what that says. And it happened right on time. All right. So that corresponds to the 15th of October when the earthquake took place. Okay. Now, 4 degrees after the eclipse is the planet Neptune. And which means that 4 days later, the sun would step into the footprint of where Neptune was in the chart when we looked at it. So 4 days after the eclipse, you had a great deception in the media, okay? There's a big propaganda put out about something that wasn't true regarding little ones, women and old people and stuff like that, right? So that great deception didn't last long, but it still occurred corresponding to the motion of the sun over Neptune. Also, somebody said something about religious institutions being utterly destroyed, okay? And the war on that was trying to be covered. All of that is Neptunish, okay? 2 degrees after that, which would be 6 days after the eclipse, the sun rolls over the Pluto station. Now, Pluto points to birth, life, death, and the processes that engage those things specifically. It points to the embryonic process, to the 9-month pregnancy period and the development of the baby in the womb. All right. And therefore, it also points to, as it points to the death rate, it points to the birth rate. So the day that the sun conjuncts Pluto, which was the 20th. I believe that was yesterday, right? Was that yesterday? And 2 days ago, okay, day before yesterday. They put in the news, it made headlines, that 2 areas in Europe have not received a reported birth in about 2 to 3 months. Okay? So an issue regarding the birth process was put out into the world and made widespread, all right? Pluto also talks about oppression and cruelty and things that happen underground. It also talks about genocide and killing people en masse. It talks about death in every form, whether it's an individual dying or collective of people dying, right? So the next station in the chart corresponds to the 23rd. We should see that tomorrow. And that is the planet Saturn in Pisces. Saturn deals with the public. It deals with individually. It points to the public persona, your reputation, your professional attitude or mask, all right, in the birth chart. It also points to your father. But in terms of society, it points to things coming out into public, things coming under public attention. It points to authority figures. It points to older people and old people in general. All right. It points to one's aspirations on a personal scale. All right. But in the sign of Pisces, all right, Pisces in its lowest manifest form is illustrated to us on the physical plane as deception, right? As straight deceit in any form that deceit can take. All right. But on the higher note, it represents the inner vision. It is the faculty, the mental faculty of the imagination, not simply imagining, okay? When you envision something, you're using the imagination to do it, but you could be envisioning something that is very real. So understand when I say that you're using the imagination, I'm strictly using it to identify the imaging faculty in the mind. Well, the orbit of Neptune through the zodiac its rate corresponds to the human rate of evolution regarding that mental faculty too. Okay, this is on personal scale. On a public scale, it points to drugs, hallucinogens, the medical industry, diseases and how they treat them. It points to hospitals. It points to music, as it points also to sound and vibratory frequency, right? So Saturn being in this place by transit and the sun transiting this station, moving over this position in the chart. The sun gives life and light to Saturn things. So on a societal level, things that are secret, Pisces are being exposed to the public. So we see in the music, Pisces, industry, Saturn, moguls and people, prominent figureheads coming to the fore for behavior that they have been kept secret for years, or there's been in the closet, or that was a rumor. All these things are Pisces indicated phenomena in the world. So when the sun rolls over that tomorrow, we should look to see some form of scandal having to do with secrets or things held private, all right, brought to the fore, all right. I skipped over one. On the 24th, the North nodes in Aries and Libra were crossed over by the sun. Okay, this happened on the 24th degree, and it happened on the 17th day of October. All right. On this day, we have leaders in court, or a leader's lawyer making a plea to the court. All right. That is Aries, the leader, and his lawyer, Libra, in court, Libra, making a plea, taking a stance, identifying himself as the defendant. You see, himself, Aries, from the word idiot, one who represents himself in court. Like, this thing is going to continue to unravel. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more planetary stations to engage over the course of this month, and over the course every month over the course of the next 2.5 years approximately. Okay, that's how much I measured. I believe the eclipse lasted for about 4 hours, so that's about 4 months. But I only measured the 4 month, 4 year, 4 thing halfway through. So I got like 2.5 months and 2.5 years to examine here. All right. It is very easy to oscillate between months and years if you understand that a year is a circle and a month is a circle. Okay, this circle is 27.3 days long, or you might say 30 if you want to round it off, for the sake of rounding it off the whole numbers to preserve the method as opposed to the actual number. We can say 30 days. All right, and this circle is 30 days, and this circle is 365 days. All right, how do we reconcile the two to make a month equal a day or a day to equal a month? It's proportion. Geometrically, they are both equally 360 degrees. So we can turn a day into a year and a day into a month, because a day is a circle of 24 hours. And if you're thinking with that mindset, 1 degree can equal one day, because that's how far the transiting sun moves. So in short, and to make it simple, I should say it like this. We are tracking the sun starting from the point of the eclipse throughout the course of the year. All right. And as it moves through the zodiac, it's going to run over the places where the planets were at the time of the eclipse. Sun, by the time the sun actually gets there, the actual planet has also moved on too. But the station that the planet took in the eclipse chart is what we're focusing on here. So we're going to need to see the eclipse chart yourself if you're going to do this research yourself, right? Go to astro.com and click on the Atlas Quarry and generate a chart for the date of the eclipse. That is October 14th, 2023 at 1:54 p.m. on the East Coast, Eastern Standard Time. All right. You know, it changes every hour per time zone. You'll figure it out, right? If you really want to do it, right? So then note that every sign of the zodiac has 30 degrees. So you can sum up the whole 360 degrees in a 30-degree fractal. All right. This is fractal science. All right. And the sun is going to move through that fractal 1 degree per day every 30-day period. And I made that measure all the way to April of 2026. All right. And with 1 degree equaling 1 month. All right. So 6 degrees is 6 months. 4 degrees is 4 months. 15 degrees between two planets is the time span it takes for that phenomena to happen with the next planet would be 16 months. Okay, 16 degrees is 16 months, 15 degrees, 15 months. It works. It's that simple. And if you understand basic geometry, you can look at the chart, find any 2 planets, or find how far a planet is from the sun in that 30-degree fractal. And it keeps repeating itself every 30 days. So it starts at 21 and 28, 29, 21 all the way down to 28, 29, and then it hits 0. Then it goes to the 1st degree. Every time, every month it hits the 1st degree of a sign, it's going to activate that Mars energy from the eclipse chart. So we can look to the beginning of every zodiacal season, which is not the first of your lunar month. It's the 1st degree of the sign. So the 1st day of the sign. The 1st day of Libra is the 1st degree of Libra. The 1st day of Scorpio starts tomorrow. Okay? So actually the 1st degree, which is the 0 degree. So the 2nd day, the day after tomorrow, is going to roll over the Mars position in that eclipse chart. So what we have here are both of the malefics in astrology. Let me take a second to explain what the malefics are. The malefics are the planets that give indication to circumstances that may be harmful. Okay, they are what the Vedic astrologers and the Western astrologers call the harm indicating planets. And since we're making this reading for the world, and the world is a dangerous place, we can count on the news reporting something of a malefic nature. They do it every day. And most of their reports are Saturn and Mars instruments, indicated phenomena. All right. So we have on the 23rd and the 24th, the sun visiting both malefics from the eclipse chart. So, and Mars is military, and Saturn deals with corporations. It also deals with timing issues, delays, disappointments, and the entire structure of a thing being reordered. In mundane manifest form, it'll come about in your life like somebody cancels an appointment, or you're late for work, or you're late for an appointment, or you're actually waiting on someone's making you late. It's a timing factor. All right. So in the world, on a collective level, it's a timing factor. But when we talk collectively, we're talking about industries, we're talking about businesses, we're talking about governments, all right, populations, states, cities, not just one individual who lives in that city, who lives in that state. And you have to detach your mind from the idea that the signs are only human personality traits, because Saturn and Pisces together says music industry. Saturn is the indicator for industry, and Pisces is the indicator for music. It also talks about the drug industry, which is pharmaceutical as well as illegal drugs, because astrology doesn't discern between an aspirin and a spoon of dope, y'all. Okay, it's all Neptune, it's all Pisces, it's all 12th house activity. You see, whether it's marijuana or cigarettes, whether it's hashish or opium, whether it's shrooms or cocaine, it doesn't matter, astrologically speaking. So we can look to the drug industry in this country. It could be anything from a drug bust to an announcement made by the medical industry or the drug industry, the legalized drug industry. All right. And I say this because when we follow the motion of Neptune into Pisces, in 2012, immediately thereafter, they legalized drugs. And now in some states, or one or two states, they've legalized shrooms. These are things that people were getting 1 year to life for in New York State 30 or 40 years ago. Okay? These things are now being legally sold. You dig what I'm saying? And if you track Neptune's motion, an astrologer is going to understand it, because they understand how the archetypes work. But if you track Neptune's motion through the signs of the zodiac or around our solar system with perspective to the equinoxes, how far it moves, then you can see how the drug trends in this country have manifested. Now, let me show you. Virgo is the sign of grain. It represents all kinds of cereals: wheat, corn, grits, any hominy, barley, and any of those grains, rice. All right, these things are indicated by the sign of Virgo. And while Neptune was in Virgo, the drug of choice was made out of grain. It was grain alcohol, and it was bootleg. They had it illegalized it, but it ravaged our community, right? And when Neptune moved into Libra, people started messing with hypodermic needles, and they started messing with heroin. It became trendy. It became epidemic. It became proportionate to the extent that it affected the collective, right? And after Neptune, because Neptune stays the east sign for about 13 years. So you see these drug trends change. Neptune also points to disease, viruses, and all kinds of sickness, okay? As it points to medicine and drugs, which are created to treat these things, all right? It also points to fantasy, music, anything that is a product of religion itself. So what we might see tomorrow may very well involve the church, okay? These so-called prophecies, is a terminology that because people associate that with religious phenomena, and that is not the case. Okay, a prophecy is an insight that is gleaned by external or internal prompt and means. They give an individual insight into what is going to happen in the future, and the catch that makes it a prophecy is its accuracy. Okay, and to reverse engineer prophecy, you have to consider, I'm not speaking about talking with angels. I'm not denying that exists, all right? Talking with demons and angels, I don't know that it exists either, but I'm not going to deny it, right? I'm speaking of the inspiration that cometh about from pondering profundities and observing patterns and observing repetitious action in these patterns, which creates the idea that we can grasp what potentially may happen, because we can take statistics, all right? And we can use those statistics to determine the likeliness of a thing, which the study of patterns lead us to the observation of potential occurrence, which will lead to predictive measures, right? And accurate prediction is prognostication and prophecy. You dig? A pronouncement of the truth of a narrative that manifests itself after it had been brought into existence by some inspirational tool or event. All right. This is what I mean when I say prophecy here. All right. When we look at Neptune moving through Scorpio, like I told you, Neptune is disease, right? Scorpio is sex. And even though the AIDS existed before 1984, it didn't reach epidemic and media-wide proportions until 84 when Neptune moved into Scorpio. Also, what happened was the big cocaine boom, the big crime, Neptune is crime, boom, a murder. All of the major cities in this country went through murder capital after murder capital after murder capital, murder capital. And that's all part of the gentrification scheme, which I'm going to get into on another occasion, right? Because we talking about drugs right now, right? And how we're able to track them and track where they're going so we can see in the future what they're going to be doing with them, all right? Like, for example, when Neptune moved into Scorpio, there was mad murder, all right? Sexual disease ran rampant. AIDS became epidemic or pandemic. It reached those proportions. When Neptune moved into Sagittarius, the whole culture moved with it. We had known in the 70s and the 80s about using tobacco leaf, cigar paper to roll, but we used tops and we smoked out of bowls. My generation, those raised in the 70s and heyday in the 80s, all right? What's that, Gen X, right? So at any rate, the next generation after us, those who have Neptune and Sag, moved to using tobacco products with the weed on a higher scale than we had ever done it, to the point where, you know, it was a once in a while thing for us to do, to actually roll a blunt with tobacco, even though in Jamaica they was doing it with Fanta leaf and tobacco the whole time. It wasn't up here in the United States. It wasn't this far north of the equator, right? But the generation after started using it. Sagittarius is the sign of tobacco, okay? Like cayenne pepper and black pepper and garlic belong to Aries, all right? Like oranges and cantaloupes belong to Leo, right? So you gotta understand how this works, right? So like Virgo points to grains, Sagittarius points to tobacco, all right? Now, and it was while Neptune was in Sagittarius that the lawsuit against the tobacco industry manifested itself. All right. So let's move through Capricorn. Now, when it went through Capricorn, they came out with the crime bill, the 3-time knock law, because Neptune also points to crime and criminal behavior and prisons, all right, as well as insane asylums and hospitals, because all of these places amass beds. They all accommodate your altered mind state. Whether you're on medicine, whether you are considered criminally behavioralist, and they look at that as a degree of insanity, which is why they put your ass in a prison and sequester you in isolation, which is all Neptune, Pisces, 12th house stuff too, right? So something regarding prison and prison sentences may easily come out over the next week, because when the sun rolls over Saturn and then rolls over Mars, it still has residual effects. Like if you buy a house under a Saturn motion, then you start to experience difficulty maintaining the house. All right. You buy the house under a Jupiter motion, and your term of ownership with that item is much smoother. This is what astrologers profess. Okay, whether you believe it or not, you got to get a reading first, right? Get an actual reading for yourself first from a qualified astrologer. All right, they ain't got to be me. Well, any one of my students will do you. All right, and they see that your life is written. See, you can perceive the nature of the event before you encounter it, and all you really can do is change your own behavior in the midst of it, and that's what makes the difference, right? But let me move forward. You know, if you have knowledge of a thing that is raining, you can take an umbrella. You can't stop the rain, but you can take an umbrella. You can't guarantee that you're going to stay dry, right? But 9 times out of 10, the raincoat and the umbrella and the galoshes, they're going to serve their purpose. So it's the same thing with anything else in life. If you're prepared for it, then you can use it to your advantage, right? All right. Let me put more focus on Mars, which occurs on the calendar 24th at the 1st degree. The sun will be at the 1st degree of Scorpio, right? So we're looking at the 24th of October, y'all. And I made this observation on Blog Talk Radio on Know the Ledge Radio back in 2013 or 2012. I made this statement because it happened then. Every time Mars goes into Scorpio, a police officer gets assaulted, killed, or shot at, or some violence is met towards the police. Okay, and that has happened. I can't recall the actual story, but it just happened within the last week. Okay, so when the sun actually conjuncts it, it's going to have more impact than it did last week because the sun wasn't there. You understand? Last week, it was just moving in on it, just warming that spot up. So we should see some kind of police violence or some violent death story go. You know, it happens every day, everywhere somebody dies. And in every major city in the world, somebody's violently killed. Quite a few people, maybe a couple people every day. But it doesn't always come to our attention. And this is speaking to what comes to the conscious, to the collective conscious. All right? It doesn't necessarily speak to what's going to happen to one individual unless that story makes national news and then everybody is perceiving it, all right? To move forward past the Mars now, all right, there's a gap. There's not another planetary station until we get to the 5th degree, all right? And that is Venus at the 5th degree of Virgo, okay? Venus is considered a minor benefic, in other words, a minor beneficial indicating planet. And an example of a personal Venus would be you went on a date. You met a girl who you appreciated. You met a man who you felt was handsome, okay? Whether you connected beyond that or not. But Venus also talks about commitments that are made between people on a non-romantic level. Any commitment that you could conceive of is given indication by Venus by virtue of the fact that the commitment is a mutually cooperative venture. On behalf of both parties, we can say that the venture, their joint effort is to produce something other than themselves, a profit for themselves or an advancement for themselves. This is what partnerships are for. You know, you help me out and I advance. We advance together because I'll help you out. So when I say advancement, it's not always monetary. But Venus, needless to omit, Venus also points to currency, the exchange of currency. It points to values. It points to laws. It points to morals. It points to principles. And it points to possessions, possessorship, and all of that is tied up in the law. Because when you go to the law, you're fighting for property or you're claiming property, you see, or you want to be compensated, you want to be given property, you know, for something that has happened to you or your property, you know. So this is what Venus is all about: your appreciation, your possessions. And so Venus in Virgo, here Virgo on a collective scale points to the merchant. All right, it points to the broker, to the middleman. All right, it points to retail, clothing and laundry and hygiene industry. When we're thinking collectively, we're also talking about the health industry. You know, the health food, the vitamins, the sea moss, the water. All of this is Virgo stuff. So this should come to the fore as well. We should see stories or headlines made regarding that in the 28th of October. Now, there's also an eclipse, the lunar eclipse, occurring on the 28th of October. Now, be mindful, Brother Rich stepped away from here to let me free flow, but I'm going to need a break. I'm going to need to take a 2-minute break. Okay. Let me get this chart up, though. Okay, on the East Coast, this eclipse is going to happen at, and I don't think we'll be able to see it because it's a lunar eclipse and it happens, the sun, the moon, pardon me, is below the horizon at the time of this eclipse, which is on the East Coast, 4:24 p.m. or 4:23 p.m., depending on whether you're up north or down south. Okay, it won't change very much from there. All right, but at any rate, the lunar eclipse is the middle of the first cycle with regards to the first eclipse. And when I say the first cycle, every time the moon goes around once, that's 1 month. But that's 27.321582 days, 27 days, 7 hours, and 40-something minutes, okay? That month is also counted, all right? Because you have to understand, the lunar month, you have 10 lunar months and 9 solar months, and they match up perfectly right there, all right? And since we're dealing with an eclipse chart, which is composed of the sun and the moon, we're going to take into considerations both months, all right? Now, the month of 57.3 days, 2 of those months is 54 days and 12 hours. You understand? So it's not, pardon me, 6 hours. 54 days and 6 hours. And you have to be mindful of the time. That's where the adding, subtracting, and dividing in the basic math comes into play. Because the months are always exactly 30 days long. You have 3 types of months. You have the solar month that we're using, and we have the which is 30 days, all right? 30 degrees of solar motion, really, because that 30 days, sometimes that 30 degrees is a few hours longer than 30 days, all right? Also, we have the new moon to new moon, which is called a synodic month. That's 29 and a half days, right? And that half a day, people like to round this off, but that half a day is really a floating decimal. It's not a perfect 720 minutes or 12 hours. You know, it could be 5 hours and 50-something minutes. It could be 6 hours and 10-something minutes. You have to actually go to the ephemeris and the table of houses and make the measure to the exact degree so we can convert it to exact time and get exact predictions. All right. But since here in this example that I'm demonstrating, I'm only using the sun. All right. I'm isolating the sun for the sake of simplicity. We watch the sun, the moon, the other planets, Mercury and Venus are also going to run over those stations and give indications in the world. Okay. But we don't have the time tonight to talk about all 289 aspects that are going to manifest through the course of this chart, of this eclipse chart in one day. You see, that's how many motions occur in one day. You know, potential motions, pardon me, can occur in one day. All right. Now, on the 5th day of November, the sun runs across Jupiter, the Jupiter station of the eclipse chart. And I keep saying that redundantly so you don't get any misconceptions as to which Jupiter we're talking about, as to which chart we're referencing. We're referencing a chart for the eclipse, for the exact moment of the eclipse, and we are referencing Jupiter's position in that chart. At the time of the eclipse, Jupiter was at 13 degrees of Taurus, all right? And the ascendant in Washington, D.C., because it's the capital of the country, and I'm giving it a collective view with regards to my country and everything at the latitude of my country, right? Which are other countries that are at the same latitude, all right? That it will manifest this Jupiter, some type of, it may concern the transportation of valuable items of funds. It may be an overwhelming amount of money in a transaction that becomes very, very, very public. All right. Jupiter talks about great things, big things. All right. Huge things. It also talks about gluttony and greed. And, you know, people can't see the contrast, how Jupiter can be so benevolent and generous and abundant and fortunate, and at the same time represent gluttony and overindulgence. Well, you don't get the opportunity to exercise any type of glutton or greed with the absence of abundance. It requires an abundance of some substance in order for you to overindulge. So this is why Jupiter points to both the having an abundance and being greedy. Okay, and you can be both, right? You can have an abundance and be greedy, and you can have an abundance and not be greedy. All right. Let me see. Practice gluttony. Jupiter deals with transportation, vehicles of transportation, and the act of transporting. It deals with mobility in any form that you can conceptualize it, in any language that you can describe and convey it in a conversation. All right. It deals with animals that are used to this day and in ancient days for transportation. So it talks about horses. It talks about elephants, rhinoceroses, all right? It talks about Taurus itself, talks about the livestock and cows, all right? So, you know, I once saw a video when Uranus first entered Taurus back in 2017. All right, or the 2018, I think it was, right? 2018, maybe. It was a video of a truck accident, and the truck was carrying a bunch of cows, and the cows spilled all over the lawn because the way the truck rolled over in the street, the cows rolled out and rolled up on the lawn, the cows in the truck, everything. And I said to myself, accidents and machines are Uranus, and Taurus is cows and bulls, right? And the actual livestock, moo, you know, with the horns, those, right? And it points to those as a descriptor, right? And that video was taped as Uranus was in the 2nd degree of Taurus, so it was fresh in there. It's like this is the universe's way of telling you Uranus is in Taurus, y'all. Okay. At the same time, Bitcoin took a dive. Bitcoin, Uranus and Taurus talks about economic, Uranus, finances. Pardon me, economics and finances belong to Taurus, and electronics and cyber money, cyber economics, electronic economics, okay? Seeking knowledge. So what I'm trying to say is Uranus in Taurus talks about the Bitcoin, talks about all the cyber money that they're trying to build up and generate. So we may see something regarding that coming to the fore. It also talks about virtual real estate. All right. Uranus and Taurus. So when I saw all of this stuff coming to the fore in the news as Uranus moved in there, we can pretty much understand through the pattern of it. If you go back in time and then pull up the chart for those times to see when Jupiter as what I'm actually talking about on the 5th degree of Taurus on the 22nd degree of Taurus on the 5th day of November. Jupiter also talks about benefits, right? And Taurus also talks about food. So we can see something in the beef industry or the livestock industry to come out of this. We can also see them talking about foreign exchange because Jupiter is foreign and the exchange of currency is Taurus. All right. Then I think I did enough of that, right? At the 17th degree, we find Chiron in Aries in perfect opposition to Mercury in Libra. And because we had earlier this month on the 24th of at the 24th degree on the 17th of October, we had Aries Libra opposition from the nodes roll over a cusp. Okay, so we have it here again happening at the end of this cycle, but with Mercury and Chiron. Mind you, Mercury and Chiron are the tightest aspect in this chart. And what does that mean? Well, astrologically speaking, when two planets are at the exact same degree in different signs, they're at the exact same fractal of the sign, they're in harmony or discord one with another. They are in communication with each other on a frequency basis due to the geometric angle. Music follows the same laws here. Musical notes ain't nothing but geometric constants. So this universal music is playing when two planets strike a chord, so to speak. All right? And Mercury and Chiron are here striking a chord. All right? And this talks about what I was asked to speak about clandestinely, y'all. All right? Because Aries deals with conflict and Libra deals with government. Libra deals with courts and Aries deals with violation. Okay? So governments violating, going to court, war crimes, all this stuff is going to start coming to the fore with these motions of Venus and Mars over the cusps. All right? How long have I been talking here? You there with me, Rich? What, about 58 minutes? That's good. We're making good time. I'm almost at the end. All right. I also took into consideration midpoints in this chart. Okay. So on the 9th of November, we have a midpoint between the eclipse station and the planet Pluto. Pluto is the planet of regeneration. It's also the planet of degeneration. Okay? It's the planet of evolution, life processes, as well as decay and dying. Okay? Death processes. Whether they be inflicted upon you or happen naturally, Pluto points to the act of your life being transferred. Whether that is your life being transferred from the other side to here at birth, or from here to the other side at death, or from the womb into the world when you're born, or from the recovery from your childhood to your adulthood. All of these are considered rebirths in the astrological mindset and given indication by the motions of Pluto. All right? Pluto giving indication to transformative circumstances and that pertain to life evolution, but it talks to evolutionary processes across the board. Okay, it is evolution in any conceivable form or magnitude. All right. And if you understand that, you know things appear on this plane of events to have beginnings and peaks and then descends and falls and finishes. All right. So we see that in the context of our life experience. And Pluto is an excellent gauge of wealth and power in society and how it evolves. This is why Pluto's orbit is 248 years to go all the way through the zodiac. Nobody even lives to see one entire Pluto motion, but we live to see fractals of it. We live to see it go through 5 or 6 signs before we pass. Okay, if you have a reasonably lengthy adulthood into your midlife, which you can't really say is lengthy, right? But 50, 60 years old, you're going to see Pluto move into a trine and almost into a quincunx, depending on how fast he travels. Now understand, Pluto goes around the sun. No planet has a constant rate. Planets go around the sun, they slow down, and then they speed up, and then they slow down, they speed up, and they actually go around the sun like a hula hoop. You know, when you nudge that hula hoop, it's going around a little bit faster, and it starts to slow until you have to nudge it again. And this is what actually keeps on your hip and keeps it moving. Well, gravity and centrifugal force and all these things in the universe work the same way. So Pluto being so far away from the sun and having a plane of orbit that is 17 degrees inclined to the rest of the solar system means that Pluto ascends above the solar system and then ascends below the solar system. And the transition of power, and I'm talking like governmental power, all right? Monarchy power, the power to rule nations, to rule a collective body of people. It shows the evolution and the passage of power from one government to the next, from one person to the next, okay? From one business to the next, because these things are empowering or disempowering, all right? On its lowest scale, Pluto points to our most basic survival instinct and desire to live regardless of whom or what. This is what nature does. Like the giraffe, right? That gets half of its ham eaten out by a lion and it survives and keeps moving, ever in pursuit of prosperity in this life, regardless of its condition. That nature in mankind also is given indication by the motion of Pluto in its fractal. Okay? When Pluto was in Aries, violent crimes raged in the streets in this country. Like, for the first time, you had the Valentine's Day murders, the serial killers, all of that happened in the 20s. Okay, the lynchings, all of that violence being perpetuated and allowed to happen. Okay, the commonplace. Pluto deals with the underworld. It also deals with things that are hidden from us. All right, things that emerge much later, like Pluto goes be above the solar system, and then it comes and goes blah, it becomes submerged. So it represents the regenerative and re-emerging quality of things that go under. Like the re-emergence of warmth in spring is symbolic to the resurrection of the sun, which in modern astrological terms, we're using Scorpio and Pluto to represent. So death, decay, transformation, metamorphosis, permanent change, consequences that cannot be undone. We expect to see all of this when Pluto is an aspect to another planet. We look to see Pluto give us the indication of these things. We don't think that these planets are the cause, all right? But they happen to move with the same energy that everything else in the universe is moving. And it's all moving as one, really, in order for it to manifest a cohesive reality, right? So when the sun rolls over Pluto, when the sun rolls over Chiron and Mercury, we're going to see some transformative event manifest having to do with communication and with recovery. Okay? Chiron speaks to recovery process, not the wound itself. Pluto would point to that, right? Chiron points to how you deal with the wound. And the wound doesn't have to be a physical wound. It could be financial, social, personal. It can be biological. It can be psychological. It can be emotional. It can be egotistical. All right. Chiron doesn't point to the hurt or to the harm or to the misfortune as much as it points to what you do to deal with that misfortune. For example, people that have Chiron and Aries when they're born, these people like to deal with their with their traumas alone, because Aries represents aloneness, okay? And Aries represents a lot of other things, so it's not just alone either, okay? But we got to keep it short here, right? Taurus represents eating, spending, or by moralizing or demoralizing. So these people may look at their trauma and find something in their morals or principles to help them deal with how they're going to live through that, or how they're going to recover from that, all right? Or how they're going to continue to go on thriving despite of that. These are the things that Chiron has pointed to in my experience in measuring it over the last 10 or 15 years, because I didn't always use it, you know. They didn't discover it until 1978, 1977. So it took us a while as astrologers to glean what it means, you know. And I'm still gleaning what it means, because everything I've read on the many books that describe Chiron that have come across my path, I don't see it to mean everything that every astrologer says it means. However, we're going to have an opportunity to look in hindsight at what it meant, because Chiron will definitely be in ruling order with Mercury on the 9th of November 2024. Chiron in Aries talks about injuries or recoveries that have to be experienced on account of what was done because of violence, on account of what is done because of the military, on account of what is done because of the police, on account of what is being done because of fire. Oh, that's another event. Just the other day, the 24th, I believe it was. No, not the 24th, pardon me. The 24th degree, which corresponds to the 17th. It was either the 17th or the 18th that some off-duty, some on-duty pizza delivery guy, he was delivering a pizza. He was going by this house and he saw the house engulfed in flames, okay? And he ran in the house to save the people just on a whim. And it was a black family. I think it was about 6 people, all right? Well, Aries talks about fire, okay? It's a fire sign, and it talks about flame of fire like you get when you strike a match, the substance of fire itself, okay? This shit right here, this stuff, okay? That's what it talks about. That is Mars, all right? Mars. So the fact that, and he was wearing a red shirt, and the color red belongs to Mars as well. I believe that individual is having a Mars. I want to get this guy's birthday and look at his chart, because he put himself out there and made an act of self-sacrifice, which is also martial. Okay, Mars deals with any concept that you can put a hyphenated self in front of. In other words, self love, self-improvement, self-destruction, self-propelled, self-motivated. Well, that self-hyphen is Mars, is Aries. Both Aries and Mars point to the essence. So as it points to self, it points to self-sacrifice as well as selfishness. Like, if you can't understand that, that's where the nodes are at right now. The nodes are sitting in Aries and Libra. And thus, we see Jada Pinkett, ruled by Mars with her Scorpio rising, Virgo sun, and her husband, Will, who's a Libra. Okay? So we got Venus and Mars manifesting in the media, all over the social medias. I mean, all over the social apps. And they're taking sides on who they're going to believe, and they're making mockery. But this single woman talking about her relationship is Aries, Libra described. And it came, this that trend regarding this celebrity couple manifested right as the eclipse happened. Then everything that happens under eclipse, y'all, for further reference, when you want to study eclipses and the nature of planetary phenomena, if you really want to know what the eclipse meant, you look at it in hindsight. It'll describe itself to you perfectly in hindsight. Like, I did not know it was going to be an earthquake. You see, I know that Uranus deals with instability. Taurus deals with land. I also know Taurus deals with money, and Uranus deals with electronics. So I was thinking something in the market, maybe a blackout of the machines. This is what I was thinking. You dig? And then it was that whatever brought it about would manifest itself within 12 hours of the eclipse, or in the middle of the night following the eclipse, in other words, right? Well, the timing was perfect. When it showed in hindsight that it was an earthquake, I said to myself, damn, like, why didn't I think about that? Because it was the same thing with different elements with the eclipse in 1999. Mars and Saturn were square, and Saturn was in Taurus, and there was an earthquake in Turkey that took more than 6,000 people. Okay? So when you start to realize, because people ask me all the time, the reason why I did this topic like this was because people say all the time, how, nigga? How do y'all make predictions? Well, most of it is based on the statistics that we've been taking uninterruptedly over the last 4,000 years. We've been astrology as a practice, what is used, how it is used, the words that we translate the planetary hieroglyphs into, no matter what your language is, that this tradition and methodology has not changed in 40,000 years. The only thing that has changed is we went from calculating the motions of the planets with sticks and strings and levers and gadgets to using a computer now. Okay? But the method of interpretation and the method of prediction and the phenomena used to derive the interpretation and the measure and the prediction is has not changed in thousands of years. Okay? My time is up, really. He gonna just let me go now, and I did everything.
I'm here, Rob.
I did everything I prepared, God. I spoke about everything I wanted to talk about.
I appreciate it, man. I truly appreciate it. We're gonna do about 3 questions, then we're gonna get out of here. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Since we got limited time, I didn't want to interrupt my brother Akhu. I wanted to let my brother go off. Let me get to a couple.
I was being respectful of your schedule, God.
Indeed. I truly appreciate it.
Because I had a whole nother measure that I wanted to share, but that would take about 45 minutes to 50 minutes. So I want to respect your time. I do want to get out of here too.
Let me ask this question. This is from Cheryl Lockett. She said many people behave emotionally and irrational during the eclipse. Was there an association between behavior and the eclipse?
There is always an association with the motion of the moon and human behavior. All right. The moon moves all of the liquid on this earth, we know, from the tides, and it is not limited to the ocean, rivers, ponds, and reservoirs. It is also the fluids in our bodies. People who work in police stations, in crisis jobs, right? Emergency rooms, hospitals, and prisons, and insane asylums. They notice that whenever there is a syzygy, which is a perfect aspect between the sun and the moon. Let's use my head, right, as the earth. This one as the sun. This is the moon. Syzygy, when they're perfectly lined up, right? When they're all in a perfect line, right? Or when all 3 bodies are in a perfect line, like my fist, my head, and like my fists and my head are, all right, in a straight line like this. So, and when the sun and the moon are on the same side of the earth, it has a gravitational pull that is more tremendous every 14 days. And these are the days that if the earthquake happens every day, storms happen every day. But if there happens to be a storm associated with that day, it's worse than the other storms that happen through the course of that season. You understand? So an eclipse is nothing but a full moon or a new moon. It just happens to be more in occultation or in tighter alignment with the sun and the earth. All right. And therefore, it does, yes, to answer your question, simply yes. You dig? Yes. Absolutely yes.
All right, all right. Let's I don't see many questions here when the grid go down. Yeah, I don't think anybody asks any questions. Let me just make sure, family. Just want to get a couple of y'all questions before we get out of here.
Well, I want to make a quick announcement, man.
Yeah, go ahead, my brother.
Okay. That's my phone number on the screen, man. You can call me any day between 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. I'm gonna do another show on YouTube here called with Spiritual Gangster Certified. Y'all look for that. I'm gonna be doing it on November the 1st. I will elaborate some on what has transpired up until that point with regards to this eclipse. But after November, I'm not going to be talking about this eclipse anymore, even though it's going to run for 2.5 years, because it'll get mundane, it'll get boring, it's Syria running the same thing, same eclipse over and over again for 2.5 years straight ain't really the bag, unless you're studying this science, you're going to be fascinated enough to stay behind it for that long.
Indeed, indeed.
All right, that's it. That's it for my announcement. Call me between 1 and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, man. Please don't call me at no 7:01 talking about am I too late, because you fucking know you are.
All right, Rod, cool. Somebody wants to know, what about Pluto? They want to know, does Pluto point to the occult realm?
Yes, it does. Pluto points to the occult, as does the 8th house, as does Pluto's sign, Scorpio. All three of those astrological symbols give occult indication. In fact, the 12th house, the 8th house, and the 4th house are all occult houses because these are the most private houses. These are also the transitional houses. You got where you're born, where you're raised, and where you die.
Right.
That's what those three places represent. And the occult has everything to do with the transition of transmutation of life or any other substance, thought, emotion, spirit, so forth.
Okay, do you think the stock market will collapse in 2024?
I think that we're going to have economic turbulence. I don't know about the word collapse, okay? I don't know how to go that far. I would need to actually look at a chart for the Dow Jones, for the stock exchange, that building or that organization before I get to talking about collapse. But we're going to have a collapse is a keyword of Uranus. But because I didn't see any financial collapse or turbulence when the sun ran over the Uranus degree the day after the eclipse, it might happen in the 22nd degree of Scorpio. It might happen in the 22nd degree of Sagittarius. I know it's going to occur in the 22nd degree, but which month exactly, I couldn't say, thinking in terms of total collapse. Thinking of a collapse as bad as it was in the 20s. Now, mind you, Uranus made its motion from Taurus to Gemini 84 years ago, okay? And the move they made that spoke to the financial benefit was the creation of social security, all right? And then when Uranus moved into Gemini, there was a total collapse of the market. So I would say that no, not in 2024. Okay, we will have some financial turbulence, maybe a few financial institutions, banks, or insurance companies go under, but a total collapse affecting the nation to the extent of magnitude of what we experienced in the 20s, nah. But do I think that within 7 years from today, like 2030, 2031, yeah, I think it's more likely to happen then, because Uranus then moves again into tropical Gemini as there was a collapse the first time, and history repeats itself.
All right. Last question from Kimberly. What planet am I seeing way before the sun sets? I'm in Houston, Texas. Mercury question mark.
Way before the sun sets. That would be Venus, but the sun would still be up when Venus sets. Okay, the first planet you see after the sun is Mercury. The next one after that is Mars. Okay, and you got about 90 degrees, and we can't see Pluto. That's at 90 degrees. Saturn is like at almost 110, 120 degrees of angle in the sky from the sun. So you should see it about 60 degrees above the eastern horizon when the sun sets. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Let me squeeze. Good. Good. You want that on?
Oh, well, I just wanted to say that the two planets, the two morning stars that we do see in close proximity to the sun are Venus and Mercury. Mercury is never more than 28 degrees from the sun. And Venus is never more than 48 degrees from the sun. So you said way before the sun sets. I don't know how you're seeing a planet in the sky before the sun sets. Okay. Way before the sun sets. When the sun is up in the sky, all of the planets and all of the stars are disappear under his glare, or under its or her glare. All right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let me just sneak in this last one. Where is it at? You got this chat moving fast, man. Is there some comment that's supposed to come about April 21st? Somebody's asking about a comment. This wasn't a question.
I don't use comments in my astrological work, so I don't keep up with them. I wouldn't know.
Okay. All right. Last one. Does the upcoming eclipse in April indicate bad omens for 2024?
Well, all eclipses put forth good and bad omens depending on the people who they're going to affect and the institutions that they're going to disrupt or propel. Okay. Mm-hmm. So with every eclipse, I expect utter catastrophe and I expect utter indications of blessing. It's equal.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right, let's get it. We're about to get out of here, family. Akhu, I want you to leave your contact info one more time for the family who may not have got it the first couple of times.
Please call me between 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That means that if you're in Cali, you need to call me between 11 and 4. And if you're in the Rocky Mountain region, you need to call me between 12 and 6. According to your time zone, make it concur with 1 to 7 Eastern Standard Time. You can reach me, if I don't answer, I'm on the phone. All right. And my phone gets really busy. So you might have to call back. My phone number is 516-881-6992. I'll be glad to accommodate you with a free 5-minute sample, and any questions regarding my services can be addressed when you receive your sample, right? Indeed. I charge $500 for a reading. The reading is about 3 hours long. You have access to me for 30 days after the reading because I can stand on whatever I say. You get the 30-day follow-up for your understanding, to expand your understanding of your own life rhythm cycle.
All right. With that being said, man, let's get out of here. Akhu, I want to thank you once again for coming on here. I tell you, I got to highlight you about something, so I'm going to give you a call tomorrow, my brother. I want to thank everybody.
I'm looking forward to hearing from you, God.
Indeed. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in this Sunday night. I'll be back tomorrow night, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, family? Peace.
Peace.